Community Power staff, and our committee members joining us in person and online today. I want to thank SCCP staff for making this in-person meeting possible and the City of San Diego for accommodating us today. I will now call the September 14th, 2023 regular meeting of the Community Advisory Committee of San Diego Community Power to order. As the clerk of today's meeting, Megan Weigelman will now call the roll. Megan, can you please call the roll?
Committee member Anderson.
Present.
Committee member Emerson.
Present.
Committee member Castaneda. Present. Committee member Webb.
Present.
Committee member Hammond.
Present.
Committee member Jans.
Present.
Committee member Schofield. Present. Secretary Cazares. Present. Vice Chair Harris.
Present.
Chair Vasilakis.
Present.
Is committee member Price. Committee members Clefani are absent.
Great. All right. We have a quorum. Committee member Lauren, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Righty, thank you. We would now like to take a brief moment to provide a land acknowledgement. We would like to begin by acknowledging that the land on which we are conducting our meeting today is located in the traditional territory of the Kumeyaay people. We recognize the Kumeyaay Nation as the rightful stewards of this land and are committed to learning from and working with local Indigenous communities to honor their sovereignty, respect their cultures, and support their efforts to heal from intergenerational trauma and systemic injustices that continue to impact them today. Thank you to the Kumeyaay Nation and all the original stewards of this land. We look forward to working with you in collaboration to build a more just, sustainable, and resilient future for all. Right. All right, the quorum is present. First up on the agenda is a special presentation. Yes.
I apologize to interrupt, but if we could have committee member Webb announce her for AB 2449 for telecommuting.
Thank you. Committee member Webb.
Yes, I just got home late last night. I was traveling. I may have been exposed to COVID. Not many people were wearing their mask. And I was concerned about attending personally today until I know if I'm okay in the next few days.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee member. We appreciate your due diligence.
Committee member Webb, can you please state for the record whether there's anyone 18 or over in the room with you?
No, I'm alone in the room. Thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right, well, a quorum is present. First up on the agenda is special presentations and introductions. So first, I would like to welcome Donna Martinez and Jushan Jameson as the new public outreach coordinators of San Community Power. Team, would you like to say a few words?
Should I get on the mic?
Yeah, we're doing our section. Next.
Hello, everyone. I don't know if this is on. Hello?
That's a little button on the bottom. That's the little button. Turn screens.
Push. Okay. Hi, I'm Donna Martinez. I've been with SCCP for 6 days now. So I'm really happy to be here. This is I think this meeting is really exciting, and I'm happy to get to know all of you as well. Previously, I was at UCSD supporting research at GPS. So, but glad to be here. Glad to be working in energy.
And good evening, everybody. My name is Jushan Jameson. This is a history about me. I used to work for the Community College District in outreach, so now I'm here also 6 days in, and I'm very excited. Very happy to be here, especially to be in like this type of meeting. I've never been one before, so I'm just here to learn and see what's new. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you so much to you both. Welcome to the team. All right, I believe that concludes the special presentations for today, correct? Right, and then we'll move on to non-agenda public comment. So we will now take up non-agenda public comment. I want to note that written public comments submitted before the committee are emailed to all CAC members prior to the committee meeting, and they will be posted on the website at the beginning of the meeting. Megan, do we have any non-agenda public comment?
We had no written comments provided and there is no hands raised at this time.
Okay, are there any, then thank you, I appreciate that. Are there any items to be withdrawn or reordered on the agenda?
No.
Okay, no requests. All right, go. All right, we're gonna move on to the consent calendar. So I'll introduce the consent agenda. The consent agenda contains items that can be approved as a package without discussion unless a CAC member requests that an item be removed for a separate discussion and action. The CAC staff or the CAC received staff reports for all the items on the consent agenda, and staff provided opportunities for questioning during briefings prior to the meeting. Today's consent agenda includes 1, approval of the July 13th, 2023 CAC mini minutes. 2, update on marketing and public relations. 3, update on customer operations. And 4, update on regulatory and legislative affairs. Megan, do we have any public comment on any of these items?
We did not receive any written comments and there are no hands raised at this time, so there is no public comment.
Thank you. Is there anyone who would like to remove any item from the consent agenda for further discussion? Okay, so I'm not seeing any objections or requests for removal. I will now turn it over to the committee members for comments and a motion. Any comments? Any motion to approve the consent agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda. This is Anna Webb.
So we have a motion by Anna. Is there a second?
I second.
Second. Did you have a?
And this is Lawrence Emerson. I was just gonna make a comment that I think the staff successfully provided input for legislative bill AB 1373, and I want to congratulate the staff on doing a good job. I understand we got email this morning to explain the revisions that were made, and they were all excellent and to the best for the long-term benefit for everybody. So congratulations on that. And that's all my comment. Thank you.
I appreciate the comment. Thank you. So I had a motion by committee member Webb, and where was the second from?
Schofield, committee member.
Schofield. Okay, second by Schofield. Just
And I'll go ahead and take a roll call vote.
thank you.
Committee member, sorry. Committee member Anderson, how do you vote?
Aye.
Committee member Emerson, how do you vote?
Approved.
Committee member Castaneda, how do you vote? Aye. Committee member Webb, how do you vote?
Aye.
Committee member Hammond, how do you vote? Aye. Committee member Jans, how do you vote?
Aye.
Committee member Schofield, how do you vote?
Aye.
Secretary Cazares, how do you vote?
Aye.
Vice Chair Harris, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair Vasilakis, how do you vote?
Aye.
Motion carries with all committee members voting yes.
Great, that motion passes. Thank you. All right, we'll move to our regular agenda. Item 5 will be our start. Item 5 is an update on Regional Energy Network Progress, or REN. I'll turn it over to Colin Fantulli and Sheena Tran to present this item. I will ask that before every presentation, staff clearly state their name and title for the record. Thank you. And awesome.
All right, good evening. My name is Colin Fantulli, Director of Customer Energy Programs.
And I'm Sheena Tran, Senior Program Manager.
All right, we are here, go to the next slide. We are here to provide an update on the progress of the Regional Energy Network. We haven't been here to talk to this body since February, and we've been very busy since then. But before we get too far, I just want to provide a brief overview of what a REN is for those who don't remember our presentation back in February. We identified this opportunity through the Public Utilities Commission to bring funding to the region to support energy efficiency programs. RENs are intended not to duplicate energy efficiency programs that the utilities currently run, but rather to identify gaps and serve hard to reach customers and underserved customers with similar programs. Next slide. So we're here in February, but actually our activities started about the REN back in May in 2022. Before this timeline, we first brought that to this body, into the board. The idea of a REN, so more than a year ago, At that point, we were given direction from the board to go hire staff focused on rent, and she had joined us in November of last year. We brought on a consultant, and that's really when this timeline on the screen here started. So in Q1 of 2023, since we've last met, we did bring on a consultant, the Energy Coalition. 2 members of the Energy Coalition are on the line here today to answer questions if we need them during the program section of program presentation. We also, in the last few months, have identified a proposed governance structure. We've identified our core values and goals. We've completed a market assessment, and we're going to present it on in detail today. We've identified draft programs that we're looking for feedback on today. Bye. Jordan, next slide.
I don't have the slides.
The computer that was doing the slideshow just lost internet, so we just need a moment.
Okay.
Apologize.
You guys want to talk about?
That map
Yeah.
is ridiculous. Colin, you mentioned that there are members of the Energy Coalition online. Maybe they can introduce themselves while we're waiting.
Yes, great idea, Larry. Can we unmute Laurel and Amy?
I could do that,
Yeah, thanks.
if you wanted to continue. I'm sorry, who is it that I need to unmute?
Laurel and Amy?
Amy Whitehouse?
Yes, please.
Oh, I need you to make me go. I
I
lied.
can make you
I
go.
can't do that.
No worries.
Sorry. One of those days, sorry.
If they can't talk to us, but Colin, maybe you can explain their background and their participation in the coalition.
I have faith in Jordan being able to unmute them.
Oh, there's the presentation.
Oh, yeah, if you want to unmute Amy. Oh, well, now we have power on the talk.
Hi, everybody. This is Amy Whitehouse with the Energy Coalition. Looks like you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes.
I can introduce myself briefly if now's still a good time. Have been working with Colin and his team since early spring to help develop programs and structure for the San Diego Regional Energy Network. I'm a program manager at the Energy Coalition. I've been working out of our San Diego office, which is neighboring SDCPs, for the past 8 years, working on some workforce education and training programs, as well as a few other program development initiatives with CCAs. And yeah, it's been great to be on the team, and thanks for letting us join today. We hope we can be a resource for you all moving forward. We look forward to your feedback.
And hopefully you can hear me. This is Laurel Rothschild. I'm Vice President of Energy Programs with the Energy Coalition. My history with REN spans a full 10 years. I've collaborated and worked with all existing 5 RENs in the state, and just very enthusiastic and excited about working alongside SDCP to form the San Diego REN. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, the Energy Coalition really are the true experts in the state when it comes to the regional energy network formation process. So we're happy to have them working with us. And Matt, you mentioned the map on the last slide. You can go back one slide if you don't mind. We don't want to spend too much time recapping what we've done thus far. And one more, recapping what we've done thus far, because the focus of today's presentation is to get feedback on the programs. Since you mentioned it, I'll highlight that the beige area in the map of California there, all the areas that are currently covered by regional energy networks in the state. And so you can see the one patch of gray in the lower left-hand corner, San Diego, and then mostly in the far north part of the state. Those are the only areas that don't have this type of energy efficiency offerings offered to the residents and businesses. So the map speaks volumes for why we're pursuing this here in San Diego. I'll spend just a few minutes focused on governance structure and our core values, and then I'll pass it off to Sheena to talk about our programs. So from a governance structure, each REN is able to identify the governance structure that best meets their regions. We are very fortunate here, as you all know, to have San Diego County be fairly contained here, just geographically and with the boundary to the south. We have a unique situation here where we have the county and our COG overlapping the same jurisdiction and our air district. So it allows us to have a fairly streamlined governance structure. And that's exactly the approach we took with an executive committee that would consist of SDCP and a second public agency. And then SDCP would be the lead program administrator. So our intent is to take all the legal and financial, regulatory and procurement obligation of the REN. I will say this isn't the first time we as a region have tried to start a REN, going back almost 10 years ago. There was an effort in the region to try to start one, despite efforts of many folks that didn't quite get where it needed to, in part because there wasn't an agency fully focused on energy program delivery. There's a lot between SANDAG and a lot of other agencies who are working on it. In part, it's never the key focus area of one agency. Now that we have FDCP in the area, it's perfect fit for us. And below the program administrators, we have specific program operation teams that work on the different program sectors that Sheena's going to outline. Then lastly, there's an advisory committee that will be made up of local government and regional government staff and community-based organizations to advise on making sure our programs are implemented effectively. Next slide. I'll just spend a minute here talking about our core values. The core values we identified are as follows. On the left here, we talk about integrating a collaborative and purposeful investment into the region's underserved and hard-to-reach communities. This is really the core of what SD-REN would be doing, delivering those programs to customers who, up to this point, potentially have not had access to these energy efficiency programs. We also wanted to focus on workforce development. We know that as we transition to a clean energy economy, there's going to be opportunities, and we want to make sure the opportunities are spread wide to all different workforce, different levels of the workforce. And then lastly, this kind of speaks to that, the challenges that the last attempts to form a REN had is that we want to be a trusted local resource, kind of coordinating regional energy efficiency policy. That has been, there hasn't been a central point when it comes to energy efficiency policy and programs in the region, and we hope that SD-REN could serve as that. Next slide. And with that, Sheena will go over our draft programs.
So upon completion of our market assessment, we found that these are the 5 sectors where an SD-REN could have the biggest impact in filling gaps and reaching underserved and hard-to-reach customer segments. The sectors and target populations are workforce, education, and training, targeting high school students, the adult workforce, and employers. Codes and standards, targeting city and county permitting authorities. Residential sector, targeting multifamily and single family residents and homeowners and property owners. Commercial segment, targeting small and medium-sized businesses. And the public sector, targeting all public agencies within San Diego County.
Always.
So I'll jump in starting with workforce education and training. So workforce education and training programs support the long-term success of the energy efficiency market by providing education and training. Notable insights about the workforce education and training sector are that many RENs offer 2 or more programs that address 1, youth programs that increase exposure and create career pathways to green careers. 2, REN programs typically cover adult certification or skills training to assist participants to enter the green workforce or to upskill. REN programs can be designed to allow participants in one sector to take part in another sector program. So an example of this would be for someone participating in a workforce program who obtains training that leads to an industry recognized certification to perform a building audit in a residential sector program. SD-REN workforce education strategies include leveraging best practices from other REN workforce programs, coordinating with SDG&E, engaging CBOs who are already doing workforce programs, and developing a robust pipeline that addresses the current workforce opportunities. And of course, we want to explore fundamental supplemental funding to complement the programs. Next slide, please. These are the 3 workforce education and training programs being proposed. The first program targets high school students, and the objective here is to enroll high school students in underserved areas and work with students one-on-one to dual enroll in science, technology, engineering, and math or STEM college courses at no cost, and then to identify internship opportunities where the student would be able to obtain hands-on experience while getting paid. Wraparound services such as access to technology or transportation or interview prep would be included to remove any barriers that would prevent someone from completing the program successfully. So program 2 targets the adult workforce and would benefit those wanting to enter the green workforce or someone who is looking to upskill or advance in their careers. This program would provide training and certification courses at no cost, provide networking opportunities, on-the-job training, and wraparound services. And for this customer segment, it could include access to childcare. Program 3 here targets employers. And we would work with employers to develop career pathways and provide assistance to ensure employees move through these pathways. So a sample offering could include stipends to participate in trainings, training program development, and training policy development. And I will go into codes and standards next.
And if the chair wants, we can stop and take questions in between the programs. We have 4 other sectors to run through, and they're pretty diverse. And so if the preference is to take questions now, we can, or we can hold to the end.
I'm fine completing the presentation unless there are questions in between from folks.
This is Lawrence. My only question would be, how would you bring consultants on board to do these? Would you be doing it in-house? And what would be the process if you were bringing consultants on board to do any of these activities, if you have a plan at the moment? Yeah.
Yes, so we could bring on implementers or we could self-implement. That hasn't been decided yet.
Okay.
And if we do bring on consultants, we would release an RFP and go through the normal process.
And can I ask, geographically, will it cover most of the county or?
Yes, it'll cover all of San Diego County. Yeah, so each of the programs will have separate eligibility requirements, but all the programs will be available throughout San Diego County. That was important. Codes and standards. So code and standards programs assist permitting authorities streamline the permitting process to improve the energy performance of existing buildings and new construction. To provide insights, every REN has a codes and standards offering, and the programs are similar, but the budgets vary widely, and they all offer compliance and policy support for local governments. SD-REN strategies are to assist with pushing forward electrification efforts by permitting entities and educating cities about building performance standards and promoting voluntary actions.
What form does assisting take place? Is it financial benefits or merely educational?
It could take different forms. So we could provide one-on-one customized support. we could provide tools and templates, and actually I can speak to this on the next slide as to how we might do this.
Let me just give you a hypothetical. Suppose you encounter some moderate to low income families that want to switch from gas to electric. How would the REN facilitate that?
Oh, yes, that's a really great question. So REN funding supports fuel substitution. So we can change out gas to electric appliances.
So the REN funding.
Yeah, funding through the REN. Mhm. So the proposed codes and standards program will be assisting permitting authorities with policy and compliance support. And how we do this is by providing a needs assessment, tools and templates, customized one-on-one support that helps building professionals navigate California's changing and complex energy code, and host educational workshops for building professionals and stakeholders with subject matter experts speaking about the latest developments in the state's EE landscape. Next slide, please. We'll jump into the residential sector. So when looking at consumption by sector in our region, the residential sector consumes the second highest amount of electricity compared to the other sectors. Some insights here are that many RENs programs that address multifamily and single family buildings and residents. Residents find multiple programs confusing, and programs provide streamlined coaching. SD-REN strategies are to offer that target and hard to reach users, integrate behavioral engagement, and coordinate with workforce education and training programs. There are two programs being proposed. One for multifamily tenants, property owners, and managers with the objective of providing site assessments, customized technical assistance, and rebates to property owners. So here you'll see a list of sample measures that could be included, such as central heat pump water heaters, HVAC heat pumps, smart thermostats, heat pumps, clothes dryers, induction stoves, and others. The second program will target single-family homeowners and renters and provide guidance to identify energy efficiency programs and upgrades through a network of contractors. In both of these programs, there's an opportunity to provide energy saving kits to renters at no cost, and the sample measures are on the screen. We'll pause for questions before I move into commercial. I can continue. All right. Commercial programs. Some insights include trends by targeting small to medium-sized businesses. And what's unique to SDG&E territory is that the commercial sector primarily consists of very small customers, and almost 2/3 of commercial customers have fewer than 5 employees. SD-REN strategies are to provide equity programs targeting hard to reach and underserved businesses, in language outreach services, and we would consider expansion of an SDCP pilot commercial program. Next slide, please. These are the 3 proposed programs. The first targets small and medium businesses with the objective to raise awareness and increase adoption to EE practices, energy efficiency practices, and measures. The program would connect businesses to a dedicated energy coach to provide education on the value of energy efficiency, support access to funding and financing, conduct facility assessments, and offer technical assistance and direct install measures, which means measures at no cost to the end user. So the second program here targets small corner stores and food donation centers and would provide Energy Star refrigerators and freezers at no cost. Program 3 targets commercial property owners and would work with contractors to offer customized incentives to reduce energy use at peak times. Moving on to the last sector here, public sector. Oh, yeah.
Just wanted to ask, is there a dollar amount that's like a maximum that can be spent on any one small or medium-sized business in terms of providing them with equipment that will improve their energy efficiency?
That's a great question, and that hasn't been defined yet. But we wouldn't want to limit the amount that we could assist a certain customer. We will have budgets that are approved by the CPUC, and they're divided by like admin, implementation, and incentive. So we wouldn't be able to exceed the budget that the CPUC approves without doing a funding request. But our aim is to request funding to support as many customers as we can. Okay, public sector. The public sector is made up of many small accounts. Other insights are behavioral, retro commissioning, and operational measures make up the largest potential. And there's a trend towards integrating resilience opportunities. SD-REN strategies include engaging with SDRCC, San Diego Regional Climate Collaborative, with successes from previous local government partnership programs, supporting regional decarbonization goals, and supplementing with additional funding to go beyond energy efficiency and include a tribal engagement strategy. This is the public sector program that is being proposed, and the target audience would be cities, the county, educational agencies, special districts, and tribes. The objective here would be to provide customized and unbiased hands-on expert guidance and support services to identify energy efficiency projects and assist with completing the project. And that could include identifying funding and financing, and we'd be focusing on decarbonization measures. The sample measures are listed here, and we are going to be implementing including DER high-level educational resources. So in addition to identifying and completing energy efficiency projects, we'd also provide resources to educate public agencies on these other items like photovoltaic, batteries, EVs, and other DR programs. Includes the summary of the 10 programs, and I can talk about timeline and next steps. So here we are developing the required documents. We expect to submit an application to the CPUC by this December. And depending on CPUC approval timelines, we're expecting approval in sometime in 2024, and then to be able to launch programs in towards the end of 2024, at the beginning of 2025. This bullets are activities that we expect between now and the end of the year. So we'll continue to draft our business plan. We will be doing ongoing stakeholder engagement. We're here today presenting to this committee, and we plan to bring a final list of programs to the board of directors in October. Also in October, we'll be compiling letters of support to include with our application to the CPUC. In November, we'll be doing a presentation to the California Energy Efficiency Coordinating Committee, which is a requirement to submit an application. We'll be filing in December, and again, the timing here is an estimate, and it may vary depending on CPUC timelines.
So given the number of these already in existence in California, do you think the CPUC is pretty much pro forma?
Pro forma meaning is a given?
Kind of automatic, kind of a given.
No, it's not a given. The work that was shown today was for the better part of the last 6 months of work that.
Right. Again, given that.
Yes.
You don't see them rejecting it, do you?
I think we're going to put forth a business plan that has a very high chance of success, but it's a public process and for a reason. So anyone from the state could make comment or protest, but we're confident.
Great. Thank you. All right, before we have any additional questions or comments, Megan, do we have any public comment on this item?
We don't have any hands raised and there was no written public comments, but we do have committee member Webb with her hand up.
Okay, we can discuss CAC member comment with committee member Webb.
Thank you. I just wanted to state that I really am excited about the programs for, especially for small business, which is where I roll, but I mean for all. But I am really excited to see this the leg up for small businesses on this. I love it. Thank you.
Committee member Cyrus?
Yeah, I want to echo what Anna just shared as someone who works with small and medium-sized businesses and large businesses. It's really exciting to see this information. And I also wanted to share with everyone, they're already doing a lot of outreach. They outreach to me and hoping to present to the San Diego Regional Chamber of Commerce. So you're doing pretty robust outreach, it looks like, and we're gonna do our best to get you in there. But the workforce education and training, the WET programs look especially interesting to me. And so I'm really excited to learn more about those. Thank you.
Any other committee member questions or comments? David?
Yeah, you mentioned behavioral change a couple times in the programs. Can you expand a little bit on what you mean by behavioral integration or change?
So this could look differently in different programs, but we expect to provide education and resources to tenants that could influence different behavioral changes that would lead to reduced electricity costs.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Lawrence Emerson, National City. So you're going to submit a proposal includes requested funds, is that correct?
Correct.
So you have to work out a budget for the different areas and categories.
Yes.
And is that something you're going to present to the CAC in the future for comment, or report that we can review and provide feedback? Because some areas maybe we think are more important than others. They're all important, but it'd be nice to see how you do that, and it would be a challenge. Maybe we can provide feedback on it.
Yep, I also wanted to ask, so I know SDCP is making this initial investment with staff and resources to form the REN. Will there be some sort of ongoing financial commitment from SDCP, especially when it gets launched? Or is there some upfront money that comes with approval of the REN and business plan?
Yes, so as a part of our approval, we would have budget for admin, and that could support SDCP staff.
But would there be any ongoing financial commitment from SDCP for the REN, or it's self-sufficient?
It's self-sufficient.
Okay.
Mhm. All activities through the REN are funded through the approved budget.
Yeah, I'll add, we're going to have programs that are going to dovetail really nicely with what the REN is doing. And those programs, SDCP programs, will be available for SDCP customers. And so we're, one of the benefits of having SDCA be so involved in the creation of a REN is that we make sure we're not duplicating, and we can really think about ways we can build off of REN programs with SDCP programs. And we've seen one of the REN in the state has been led by SDCA. It's the rural REN up in the northern part of the state. And I think there's some good synergies there between having us so involved. But as Sheena said, one of the big benefits is that the time will be fully reimbursed, all the incentives. And so that was one of the reasons why we identified this last summer as a good opportunity to focus our funding on other programs or rates or however else we want to use that money.
Jobs, the folks that are in that, and then on the demand side, actually having those jobs exist, hopefully good paying jobs. And yeah, and I just have one quick question, which was based on Clean Energy Alliance is looped in, correct? Great. and then who's likely going to be the second agency?
We're hoping to have a county-wide agency as we took we want the REN, the divisions for the REN to be available throughout the entire county, for that entire jurisdiction. So we're hoping the county of San Diego, the Air District, or Sandag, another county-wide jurisdiction, but we don't have anything solidified yet. As soon as we do, we'll definitely bring it back to this body.
Okay, you're not gonna have to negotiate another date, are you?
No.
Okay. PTSD. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments? All right, we'll move on. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it, Colin. Tina, thank you. Sorry. Learning my ropes. All right, well, we move on now to item 6, update on programs. I will turn it over to committee member Emerson to provide an update.
Good evening. Yes, well, our last ad hoc committee meeting was really, a lot of focus was on the REN and what the REN would be about. And so you've actually, most of what was discussed was presented already. There wasn't any specific program updates or pilot programs discussed. So probably the next meeting we'll have more details on some of those pilot programs that are coming up.
Great. Megan, do we have, is that the full report? Yep, all right. Megan, do you have any public comment on this item?
There's no public comment.
Great. I will turn it over now to CX members for comments. Questions, comments? My only comment is that I very likely need to roll off this committee. I don't think I can make the meeting times. So just as a note, there's a process for that. I apologize for overextending myself.
I did, let me just add that I did ask about the timeline, and I guess the CPUC has these steps, procedures that they go through, and it can seem like it take a long time. I'm glad that our staff has experience in doing something similar in the past, and I'm just hopeful that they can keep the process going and get this accepted as soon as possible, so the community can benefit. But and if they can come up with any particular part of that REN activity to present to the CPUC, would be that, hey, this particular item would be helpful if it could be approved earlier, and so they keep things, kind of challenge CPUC to accelerate things and not bog down in bureaucracy. But I just appreciate your effort on that, and hopefully we can move it forward quickly. Thank you.
Other questions or comments? All right, I will move us on to item 7, turning over to Vice Chair Harris to provide this update on the Community and Equity Ad Hoc Committee.
Thank you. Well, since the last regular CAC meeting in July, the Community and Equity Ad Hoc Committee has held 2 meetings. And the members of our committee include Eddie Price, Aida Castaneda, Lauren Casares, Tara Hammond, and myself. In August, we met and had a presentation by the Programs and Public Affairs teams, and we discussed the outreach strategy, an education plan, marketing plan for solar for our communities. Now, solar for our communities is the new name for those unwieldy acronyms DAC, GT, and CSGT.
Oh,
So,
congratulations.
And there is now a live website with all the information on solar for our communities. So it's very easy to understand. We reviewed and provided input on the draft of the web pages, and I think it looks great. I encourage everyone to take a look at it. In September, the ad hoc committee heard an overview of marketing efforts around informing the public of actions they can take to lower their bills during the summer, in which rates are higher. This includes a social and digital media targeted campaign. Power Services staff also brought forth a discussion around the SDCP energy proposal evaluation criteria. This is for a procurement process. So our members of our committee provided feedback on proposed revisions. And this item will come to a regular CAC meeting at a later date when it's finalized or final for review. We encourage members to attend and be part of these discussions during meetings. Staff is also sharing tabling and volunteering opportunities that all CAC members are welcome to take part of. Our next meeting will be Friday, October 6th.
Great. All right, appreciate the update, Vice Chair. Megan, do we have any public comments on this item?
There are no public comments.
I will now turn it over to ourselves. Does anyone have any comments on this item? No. All right, I will move this along. So we'll move to our standing item number 8, update on the CAC fiscal year work plan. Alex Crespo to present this item.
Yes, good evening, members. My name is Xiomara Crespo, Community Engagement Manager, providing an update as we do every month to revisit the work plan to ensure that we are on track to accomplishing the goals and discussing the issues that this body have prioritized at this point in time. So over the last month, as you've heard during our updates, CAC members have had an opportunity to discuss our procurement efforts as part of the activity coming out of the ad hoc committees, rounding up most of our work plan objectives. Equity overview and CAC educational presentations, as you see on the slide, remain as standing items for the committee to tackle before the work plan is revised at the end of the year. So I look forward to working with our officers in order to set forth agendas for the rest of the year that address these issues and these, these pillars of the community advisory committee work plan. And as a reminder, we will use the opportunity of the ad hoc committees that are meeting currently to revisit the work plan and make sure that it's up to date and that it reflects the priorities that we wanted to tackle as a body the next year. That's my update.
Great. Megan, do we have any public comment on this item?
There are no public comments.
Thank you. Do we have any comment from CAC members?
I would like, so can we replace the DAC and CS item in the lower box with the community solar, solar for our communities label?
Yes, I will have DACUT and CSUT with a stripe there.
Thank you.
Great. Any other comments?
Just a question, you mentioned this on the website, on the Sanyo Committee, our website?
Yes, there's a new.
Okay, yeah, I'd like to take a look at that. Who can show me what that is later?
I am happy to share the link with you.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other? All right, I'll move this along to our next item. This is another standing item, discussion of potential agenda items for board of directors meetings, which is the end of this month. As a reminder, the CAC may bring items to the attention of the board in 2 ways. One, through the CAC report submitted to the board and/or as a discussion item during a board meeting with the approval of the chief executive officer and the chair of the board of directors. Do any of our CAC members have recommendations on potential items for the board of directors? No. Okay. Well, thank you for, well, there's no recommendations, but I appreciate it. And seeing no recommendations, let's move on to the next item, which is committee member announcements. Do any of our CAC members have anything they'd like to share today?
Sure, I'll have one.
Member Anderson.
After 20 years of fighting for it, Sierra Club and a coalition of other environmental organizations have just raised $60 million to purchase all of Proctor Valley in the unincorporated area of San Diego. It was formerly called Village 14, and it is going to be 100% purchased. Nature Conservancy spearheaded it by guaranteeing us a bridge loan, but various bits of federal money and money from the State Wildlife Conservation Board and the Nature Conservancy were combined, and money from a lawsuit. And that lawsuit was a lawsuit against Trump's border wall, which was initiated during the Trump administration, but continued during the Biden administration because he had then taken over the federal government. The courts held in favor of the Environmental Coalition, and granted hundreds of millions of dollars for border restoration. And the $20 million that came to San Diego County were used in the acquisition of Proctor Valley, which completed the 60 million that we had raised. So not directly related to San Diego Community Power, but it will prevent large amounts of vehicles mile traveled, greenhouse gas, fire, evacuation problems, traffic, and a host of other things. Since Proctor Valley is about 20 to 40 miles for most jobs. So,
well, congratulations on that victory.
Thank you. We had been in court and we twice won. We won in Superior Court on all four accounts in our brief. Then the county took us to appellate court and we prevailed again. Now that also creates a precedent on those issues. And we were joined, interestingly, by Bonta, the Attorney General, who filed briefs on our behalf. So once those lawsuits succeeded, I think the developer realized the battle was over and they got fair market value for it.
Excellent. Great, thank you.
Nobody else is.
Yes.
Okay, it's Lawrence Emerson. We just had our Electric Vehicle Association meeting yesterday at the Auto Museum Balboa Park, and it was on bidirectional charging. And so a lot of people think electric cars are going to crash the grid, but in fact, with bidirectional charging, we'll be able. In this case, the demonstration project was the El Cajon Valley School District. They have 5 or 6 electric buses at the moment. And they've been setting up the equipment so that they can not only charge during when there's a lot of sun or off-peak time, but they can put energy back into the grid and earn money for the school district at the same time and help with the grid. So this, I didn't see any San Diego Community Power staff there, but we recorded it, and I'd like to be able to send it to the appropriate staff that would be interested, because in the future, I think San Diego Community Power should assist in future bidirectional charging projects. So just keep I think maybe 2 or 3 years. I mean, this is happening in Europe, it's happening in Japan, it needs to happen here. And we're just getting up to speed with the code requirements, with all the IEEE requirements for the equipment. But in the next 2 or 3 years, I think all these demonstration projects are going to make that easier to move forward with. And we should take advantage of that as the San Diego Community Power. So that's one of the big news. Again, when the YouTube editing is done, we'll share that with any. If you can let me know which of the most appropriate members from San Diego Community Power staff, we'll make sure they get to see it. And I have one quiz that I had done at the subcommittee meeting. So people who know the answer cannot already raise their hands. But this is kind of electricity related. So back in 1776 and before the Declaration of Independence and after, who was the most famous American in Europe and England?
Benjamin Franklin.
Okay, he's already got the answer. And then why was he so well known, among many things?
Well, he was kind of a Renaissance person, so he was known for a lot of things. But also by flying a kite, had kind of discovered electricity. And in addition to his many other accomplishments of being a diplomat and really doing the first movable type newspaper in America.
Anyway, he did come up. There were parties back then. They didn't have TV, internet, where they had parties on static electricity. But then he connected that lightning was similar, and he wrote about it, and he came up with the lightning rod, which saved a lot of churches and buildings and barns. And that was implemented all over Europe. And it was just something from America who knew all of this stuff and discovered it and shared it with. But he was famous as an American in Europe, and so
not to mention the Franklin stove and bifocals and a host of
many other things. Yes. So there's a good KPBS 2 series program about him, very educational, if anybody has time to watch that. And just a little tidbit on our history related to electricity. Benjamin Franklin.
Thank you, Larry. Any other comments?
I have one.
Quiz questions?
Oh, I wanted to mention that I attended a press conference 2 weeks ago at Petco Park. I was the president of the Padres, and it was to highlight small businesses that had opted up that 100% clean energy. You probably already know the Padres, Petco Park is 100% clean energy and the only ballpark in the Major League Baseball that has that designation. But these small businesses were like Cider Bivouac, Bivouac Cider Works, and there was a real estate company and others that have really led the way with small businesses opting up to 100% Power 100.
I'd like a staff report at some point from other initiatives and other businesses that have opted up to 100, because it's really the Padres thing is a fabulous thing, because when I'm telling somebody to opt up to Power 100, I'm saying, well, like the Padres, you know, and they use a lot of electricity, obviously. And you know, if we get other businesses, I'm meeting with some San Diego State officials to see if we might get San Diego State University involved in that. Some of their electricity that they procure is not very clean, even though they've got a fabulous sustainability program. I had lunch with their associated student officer on sustainability, and she and I are going to press forward to see if we can perhaps move them in that direction.
Please do. Their sustainability, yeah, they need to fix that. And they just got an EPA grant, so they need to.
SDSU has direct access, and
yeah,
I've talked to them about it. Their energy is so inexpensive from that. I think it's going to be challenging, but it's it's worth exploring again. But I've gone.
When I talked to the vice president of business affairs last week, he said, "Oh well, we'll do it, but how many sections of chemistry and philosophy do you want us to cancel because of the expense?" But we'll continue the dialogue and continue to see where we go, how we can push them. So,
all right. Any other announcements?
I just want to say, this is Anna Webb. I just want to say thank you all for sharing that, because that's so exciting. Yeah, that's it's going to lead our county and build our CAC even more. Thank you.
Thank you, committee member.
Well, build SDCP. Sorry.
And one last comment. I'm not sure I caught what Peter was saying, but under at the San Diego Community Power website, under your choice, there is a list of Power 100 champions.
Good.
Were you aware of that?
Yeah. Yeah, that's part of what I was talking about. But what I'd like to hear from staff is, are they doing proactive outreach to other organizations, to, for instance, UCSD and SDSU and community colleges, and you know, a host of other buildings. You know, Qualcomm has a pretty good record of being a green company, but I haven't heard about them opting for Power 100. So
They have direct access as well.
direct access, that's a problem, because that's super cheap but somewhat dirty energy.
They receive 100% clean energy. It is through Shell Energy, but they do receive 100% clean energy. Qualcomm is actually ahead of the curve.
Really? So direct access sometimes includes energy that's that clean.
Yeah, it's their decision.
Sure. Could I just pipe in and suggest that this be added as a future agenda item, because this is just for committee comments and not too much back and forth. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? All right. Anything? All right. Well, that brings us to the end of our agenda, and I appreciate all of your participation. We are adjourned until our next meeting on November 9th. Thank you.
Thank you. Very succinct. Thank you.